Well, aren't you guys in luck? I have an off day. I might wait. It's been a while since I've done this. I might as well make a video. And of course, you can already see the title of the video, so you know what it's going to be like. And you should probably get used to this. I've got the phone now. I'm going to start doing these videos where I roam around like this. Also, I was pretty confused because it looks weird to me on the phone, but I think it is mirroring stuff just right, because when I watched the footage back, the video looked fine, so I don't know. Maybe it's just my perspective and I'm being weird, but anywho, you can see the title of this video. So I'm just going to dive right into it. Video game violence has always been something that is on the minds of many different people, whether it be gamers or whether it be politicians or parents or anything like that. And when it comes down to it, it's a stupid argument. The reason I say it's a stupid argument is because violence and the violent nature of humanity is something that has always existed. We have been violent forever. It's not something that is the result of any factors. It's just how we are. Humans can be very violent. And I think it's stupid how these days we have so many scapegoats and so many people trying to make excuses and say, oh, well, it's got to be the video games or it's got to be the guns. And I know, I don't want to get too political in this video. And I know people are like, oh, no, is Brett one of those guys? Don't take my guns. Well, actually, yeah, I don't think you should take people's guns. When it comes down to it, taking guns away from somebody who is responsible with them is not the fucking way to fix the problem. If you want, I'll be political real quick and then I'll get into the actual video. If you want to know my honest opinion about it, all these things that keep happening, these school shootings, these terrible massacres, I think it comes down to a personal problem. Not a problem with, oh, there's a gun, or there's a knife, or there's a vehicle. We have been killing each other since before we had guns, knives, and vehicles. We used to do it with goddamn rocks and sticks, and before that we did it with our bare hands. When it comes down to it, this argument of, oh, it's gotta be the guns is a fucking stupid argument, because since the inception of this country that I live in, we've had guns. And this problem has only cropped up, I want to say, in the past 30 to 50 years, where we have these situations where children go to schools with weapons and shoot people. Let me just say it real quick. Maybe, just maybe, if we focused a little less on the tool, the object, the thing that is used to kill people, and a little more on why people are killing people, we wouldn't have a fucking problem with people killing people. Maybe, just maybe, if you were to, instead of getting up and walking out of your class in protest, you walk up to the student that's been bullied for 4 fucking years and made a friend with him, maybe he wouldn't feel like killing himself or killing others. It's not a problem with the tools. It's a problem with the people. Alright? I'm gonna get out of my political mindset real quick, but yeah, these idiots are like, it's the guns! Fuck you, it's not the guns. A gun is not going to jump up and kill somebody. Actually, I've got one sitting right here. The dark one is my rifle. It's a gun. It's a legitimate gun. It kills people. I've got a box of bullets right here. This gun has been with me for years. It belonged to my grandfather. Not once has it jumped up and randomly killed somebody. It's a tool. Guns are made to protect. They're a means of self-defense. You get these other idiots, these jackasses. The Second Amendment was made for hunting. No, it isn't, you fucking dolt. Look throughout human history. Every single time a dictator has come into power, the first thing they did was they disarmed the populace. The Second Amendment exists so that we can protect ourselves against government tyranny. Alright? Guns are for protecting us. They're a tool. When you have somebody use a tool inappropriately, and you can use any tool inappropriately, do you blame the tool or do you blame the person? Years ago when I was 18, I got into a fight with my neighbor. He grabbed a hammer out of his truck and hit me in the head with it so many times he cracked my skull open. We're good now, but this happened. Did I blame the hammer? No, it's a fucking hammer. I'm not going out here calling for a ban on hammers. And people that say we need to ban knives, ban guns, ban cars are a bunch of goddamn idiots. I should really get out of my political mindset and get into the actual video, but I had to talk about that because I get so sick of these people that think they know a thing or two and then they go in the complete wrong direction with it, bitching about things that are a non-issue. It's not about the guns, it's not about the video games, it's about the people. And if people cared a little bit more about human life and were raised properly, they wouldn't be doing this shit. Whether it's the people bullying kids into killing people or the kids that are going out and killing people. Alright, so recently there's been a resurgence of video game violence in the news. And all I have to ask is, where's the problem? I ask this because I played video games for a long time. The actual demographic for the standard age of a gamer these days is, I think, 35 years old. I'm 27. I wasn't born in the heyday with the NES and the Sega Genesis. I was born June 28th, 1990. But I have grown up with games. I've grown up with the Super Nintendo, the PlayStation, the Xbox, the PlayStation 4. I've grown up with games. I've been playing games my entire life. And I had it rough as a kid. I remember back in middle school when I'd get bullied. My middle school years were god-awful. My high school years were great. But in middle school, fuck. I've had a lot of problems. I've dealt with depression. I've dealt with anxiety. I've had a lot of issues in my day. But never once have I ever thought about taking a weapon somewhere and hurting people. Never once have I really thought about murdering the people that ever hurt me. I'll tell you what I used to do when I was little, and I'll grab it off the shelf. If I can get it off the shelf, because it's in a bad spot. Come here. Come to Papa. There you are. I got it. I'll tell you what I used to do when I was little. I have to keep turning. I like the lighting on my face from the windows instead of that stupid ceiling. I'll tell you what I used to do when I was little. You probably just saw the game. When I was little and I had a bad day in middle school and I got bullied and I felt like shit and I was sad and depressed, you know what I'd do? I'd come home and I'd play a particular game. I'd come home and play Manhunt. See, I'm looking at this right now. Manhunt is backwards. So if it's okay in the actual recording, fine. But it looks so fucking backwards right now. Anywho, I'd come home and I'd play Manhunt. This video game was not meant for children. It was not meant for a middle schooler. When I first saw a trailer for it, I thought it was a horror game. And so I asked my mother if I could get it, and she let me get it. Which, I played a lot of games I probably shouldn't have played when I was little. Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil. Anywho, I would play this game on a bad day. And when I first saw it, I thought it was a horror game because it was a dude stuck in a city being chased by scary people. I was like, oh, this is a scary game. This is like Silent Hill. This is like Resident Evil. No, it's more of, I hate to use this term, it's more of a snuff film simulator. But I would play this violent video game. I'd load up the, whichever chapter it was that had all the fucking rednecks in the junkyard, and I'd go to town because they were my favorite to kill. I guess it's because I live in the South. But when I had a bad day, I'd load this game up and I'd feel a little bit better about just beating the shit out of bad guys. And that was something very therapeutic for me. I can't help but say it. This violent video game with me bashing a dude's brains in with a fucking baseball bat helped me cope with my own bullying. When it comes down to it, I can't help but wonder how many other people have coped with their problems, how many other people have coped with their issues by just playing a violent video game and getting all that frustration out. When it comes down to it, I don't think violent video games are bad. And anybody that says they're bad is stupid because they've never been frustrated in their entire life at anything. They've never lived. They've never hurt. They've never loved. When it comes down to it, sometimes you've got to get your frustration out. You want to shoot a motherfucker in the face with a shotgun and see him turn into red paste. That shit is okay in the context of video games. I don't know why it is that so many people are flipping out these days. Video games have been around for so long. We've grown up with them. We've matured as an audience, and we're enjoying them now as adults. I mean, I don't hear anybody ever bitch about Hollywood. I can go right now and I can go watch some of those violent, vulgar, foul language, nudity, sexual content, not like full-on penetration because that's pornography. Anywho, I can watch some really raunchy shit on the big screen in a theater. Oh, it's rated R, so don't let any kids in with you. But I mean, if you want to take a kid in with you, you can, because we can't stop you. You can watch all this shit produced by Hollywood. You can listen to some of the most violent and vulgar music. I mean, have you guys checked out any of the rappers lately that are complete dog shit compared to old school rappers? Have you guys listened to any of this stuff? Have you absorbed any of this material? All this other stuff that kids are absorbing, but nobody fucking says a thing, but it's got to be the goddamn video games? No. And considering how many beautiful video games are out there, how many lovely experiences I've had, from Legend of Zelda to Tearaway to Okami to Gravity Rush, there's a lot of beautiful games out there that really destroy and dismantle this argument that, oh, video games are just violence, blood, gore, and tits. I mean, come on. When I look at this argument, all I can imagine is that these people they're out of touch. They just don't get it. And it bothers the piss out of me. I look back at all the things that I've experienced. Some of them I probably shouldn't have experienced when I did, but I look back at them and I think that didn't make me into anything. This is not an issue of video games or media or tools or weapons. This is a personal issue. The reason that people are doing this is social. When you're in school, you're in a very cramped social environment. And that can sometimes breed a lot of problems. But nobody wants to ever address these problems. They just want to blame video games. They just want to bitch about something that's easy to scapegoat. And I fucking hate that shit. Because I feel like when people scapegoat something, when they make light of a situation by not treating it with the respect and dignity that it deserves, I feel like that's just painting a broad brush over everything that could be discussed. There is a very legitimate discussion that needs to be had here about the violence going on in our country, about the situations that are occurring, about the destruction of our youth. But all they're bitching about is, well, video games. Fuck off with that argument. That is not an argument. There's a lot of shit we need to go over. There's a lot of things we need to address. I mean, these school shootings and this shit has cropped up in the past 30 years, a time in which socially we've had so many changes and so many problems. We've had weapons in this country for 300 fucking years, and now we're having these things escalate in this way. It is not a problem with the tools. It's not a problem with the media. It is a problem with the people. The people have a problem, and we need to fix that problem. I hope you've gotten something out of this video. I hope that maybe you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, let me know. If you're one of these individuals like, we gotta take the guns away, let me know what that's gonna fucking solve. Because the thing that irritates me about that argument, as I get political again, if you take the guns away from rightful law-abiding citizens, criminals are still gonna get the guns. Somebody somewhere is still gonna get their weapons. We can't keep drugs out of prisons and you want to take all the guns away? You're fucking stupid. Alright? If you disagree with me, pop that comment down there and I'll argue with you all goddamn day. But when it comes down to it, I feel like it's more of a problem with the people and much less the products. When it comes down to it, video games aren't causing violence, music isn't, movies aren't. It's people. It's how you're raised. It's who you have in your life. I mean, we have so many fatherless homes. I mean, nobody has looked at the statistics for how many of these mass shooters grew up in a fatherless home. I grew up in a fatherless home. I'm not killing people, but there's other things to look at besides the tool that was used. Because again, before we had guns, before we had knives, before we had vehicles to run people over, we beat the shit out of each other with rocks and sticks. Humanity is violent. It's just how we are. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will do more videos when I can. I will get content to you guys as I can. But I have an off day, so I made you a video. You're very welcome. I didn't want to do it. I kind of wanted to stay in bed and talk with Caitlin. Fuck, I said her name. Anywho, thanks for watching.